Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Toffee Blues, and welcome to a roundup of yesterday's Merseyside derby between Everton and Liverpool, which ended 0-0. I'm just going to, when things get started, ask how is everyone doing to make sure that people can actually hear me and that we're in the chat, because I'm also going to try something a little bit risky today. I'm going to try a little screen share thing so we can go over the game properly and in some detail. I can see Erwin and Dylan in the chat. How are you, lads? But yeah, it was quite a good game overall, to be fair. I thought we played really well. I thought there's not many negatives to take out of it, besides the fact that, the goal getting ruled out on the referees, but, we'll get into that later on. So yeah, I think if I've worked this right, I should be able to share my screen and everyone should be able to see it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the video up on my phone at the same time so I can check the chat while I'm trying to go through everything, just to make sure that it all goes well. Because if that's the case, we can use this a lot more often, and probably it'll do a good job. So let me do that. So I should be able to jump straight into the chat on my phone. So if you do see me looking down occasionally, it is just me checking the chat through my phone when we do get to the overall game. We see this. I'll put this. Hi, Owen. How are you? I'll put this up from Dylan. Great performance. The bad thing is that we haven't won yet. And it is quite unfortunate, isn't it? Considering, if you look in many contexts, we had a few chances to put that game away and we didn't. But the same thing applied to Liverpool, really. They had plenty of chances to put the game away and they didn't. That was mainly probably due to our good defending. But, unfortunately, we weren't able to claim the win. But it did very promising signs. And if I've done this right, we can get straight into those promising signs now. If I do this, look at that. There we go. So here you go. This is the game. Go through everything here. And I think the easiest way to start this is if we've got the players here, we've got a few talking points, but we want to probably scroll down a little bit more to about here. Here's what we want. If you look at the expected goals, even a lot better. Even if you look at the possession, you see 39%. I believe we averaged what? Or was it 18% possession last time we played them? The fouls committed, the corners, they were more. We still got 7 corners, one big chance missed. Unfortunately, that probably is the Neil Maupay chance. But to go up against Liverpool, even if it is at Goodison, and to get the result we did, a draw, like Dylan says, a draw is fair, but you can't ignore the VAR decision. Dylan is right. Unfortunately, we can't ignore the VAR decision, but that is how it works. Unfortunately, it's been crap all weekend, really. It's been terrible all weekend. If I do this quickly, just so we can get a bigger look at me while the stats are there. VAR has been absolutely dreadful all weekend. There's not been. You look at the Chelsea game, you look at other things. It's just been absolutely dreadful all thingy, really. So it's kind of unfortunate that it happened to happen to us in probably our biggest game of the season. But, if you look at the stats, like I said, if you look at them here, if I press the right button, there's a lot of positives to take from it. You have like I said, the expected goals a lot better than I expected. I thought we were going to get dominated from flat out up top to bottom. There were strings of the game where we did really control the game, in my opinion. And unfortunately, I don't think we capitalised on our chances. But if we do scroll up here, we can go through some of the players. The first player we have to talk about is Jordan Pickford. An absolutely fantastic performance from Jordan overall. You look at 8 saves. He had, the long balls weren't the best, but, 7 saves being inside the box. You look at these statistics, and you got 9 fantasy points. So, I actually took Pickford out of my fantasy team because I thought we were going to get washed, and that didn't end up working well, did it? But, you look at all these, Pickford once again, the real standout player for us. And again, you look at the way Ramsdale performed today, he proved once again that there's no doubt that he's England's number 1, and it's not even close. The back 4, all impressive, and the one guy to me who stands out is this man. Nathan Patterson's going to be a star for us. I really do think Nathan Patterson is going to be an absolute star for us. A real replacement for Seamus Coleman. And a lot of us, looked at it and go, don't get me wrong, Seamus Coleman's not the best right back to ever play football or anything. He was replaceable, but I really didn't expect us to almost replace him to such a high, not to such a high level, but to a level where we'll get this commitment and this attacking drive so early. Nathan was unbelievable. You look at, just if we want to go off his attacking stats, they don't look fantastic, but it was his hounding, his pressure, the things he did. And, we go past here and you look 8 recoveries. 8 recoveries for a 20-year-old right back against, arguably, he's doing this, is that against arguably one of the best teams in the world is fantastic. He wasn't dispossessed. He was passing into the final third. You look at all these statistics, they're fantastic. And you look at the players he was playing against, only one foul committed. I think Nathan was one who stood out a lot. I think Tom Davies was quite impressive. Iwobi did what he usually does. One thing I will say is it's hard to take these ratings on sites like FootMob for complete. Virgil van Dijk had a 7.4 and shouldn't have even been on the pitch for one. I think saying that, for example, we look at Trent, saying that Trent and Iwobi played at the same level, I don't really agree with that. Saying Gordon performed worse than Salah. Yeah, Salah did a few things later on, but I feel like Salah only really came to life in those last few minutes, to be completely honest with you. But another player who really stood out once again, Amadou Onana. Already 30 million is looking like a bargain for this lad, Sorry. He did, I forgot to say, he did so many things to such a good level. And once again, his attacking stats didn't really stand out. His dribbling, in my opinion, was quite impressive. And I believe there was one point where he did like a little chop or a little turn to a Liverpool player, and it really stood out. But we go here, once again, it's in that defensive area. Those defense and those duels where he really stood out as, arguably one of Everton's better players again, and at only 21 years old. You see the real potential that he has to be an absolute star for us. You look at all these, I don't even have to read them out to you. You can look yourself. He really stood out as an absolute star once again, and one of our better performers. And, his work should have got this man sent off. It's a realistic, and we will get into that when we talk. But another man who I thought had quite an impressive debut, you'll have to let me know what you lot think. Obviously, he did miss that chance, which was quite unfortunate. But in the end, I do think he had a good debut for us. I think he created really well. You see here, 4 chances created. I believe that was the most in the Everton squad. I think, unfortunately, those 1.06 expected goals, he ended with 0. He really should have scored that chance he had. It was a decent save from Alisson, but he really should have buried it. But he created chances, and he did show how much Everton can play, how much better we can play with a striker up front. And he was noisy, pressed really well. He didn't score. And unfortunately, that is the case. But I do think it's really hard to pick on the performance of Neil Maupay after, in my opinion, he did have a fantastic performance. And I think he did really stand out as someone who can be a focal point of an attack while Calvert-Lewin's gone. And the one thing, it's like Owen says, he did miss chances, but it's so much of an improvement on Rondon. And at only 26 years old, he is naturally only just going to get better. So it's one of those where you look at it and you go, for what, £12 million? It's already looking like a great bit of business, in my opinion. And, we will have to move over to the bench. I don't think Demarai Gray was bad, but I do think there were moments where I do think Gray should release the ball earlier. But we go over to the bench, and even though it won't stand out in the stat sheets, Idrissa Gana Gueye came on and, in my opinion, instantly made us look so much more secure. His passing was neat. His tackles were good. And, 2 interceptions and 4 recoveries in 30 minutes, winning all his ground duels, winning 2 of his aerial duels, fouled once. In a short cameo, it really looks like Ghana hasn't lost that ability that made us such big fans of him. And I also think, I thought McNeil, it doesn't really have a rating. I thought McNeil, in the cameo he had, I think he did do quite well. I think, McNeil's one who's young, but I think there's a lot of Everton fans who may be divided on him right now. But I think McNeil almost scoring that goal, I think he was a performer who, he didn't stand out, but it was a much better cameo than what we had previously. Of course, we did only make 2 subs. Of course, you do look at the injuries and stuff like that. It's understandable why we may have usually brought someone like Calvert-Lewin or the Corey on. Calvert-Lewin would have probably played. But, we look back to what we had. You look at that Liverpool team, and you look at how good players like Patterson did at completely shutting Luis Diaz out of the game. I think there was a stat out that that Patterson did something, and it was Luis Diaz's first time not getting this metric in the league. I think, unfortunately, you saw a great performance from a player like Joe Gomez. Alisson had a good performance, and unfortunately, that did pack us in a little bit. But, this is probably the big controversy here. The goal ruled out. I don't know what you lot think, because technically the rule states he was offside, but I don't understand the idea of being offside if that part of your body can't influence the game, if you know what I mean. He wasn't going to be able to shoulder the ball in from there or hand the ball in. In the end, his feet were behind the man, and personally, I think that should count. That's not me just saying, for if it would have been the other way around, I'd have agreed with the same thing. For example, if Joe Gomez had done the same thing, I'd have agreed that we got lucky and it probably should have counted. But you see this, and within less than 10 minutes of each other, the referees instantly ruined the game for us within 10 minutes. The referee was terrible as it is. He's not, it's the standard of the referee. And if you go look at, I believe Alan Shearer said something on Match of the Day, he can sum it up in a much better way than I can. But that should have been a red, and that should have been a goal, in my opinion. And, what would it have been? Our first win at Goodison in the derby since 2009 or something like that? How much of a confidence boost is then that going into Arsenal, after Arsenal have just been battered by Man U, to then go and, say, well, there you go. 2010, Dylan says, so there you go. We haven't won a game at Goodison against Liverpool since 2010. Imagine the confidence then that gives us going into the next game, going into Arsenal, going into the games after that, 3 points over Liverpool. A 3 points, which I'm pretty sure, there's a league table here somewhere, a 3 points that would have only put us 1 point behind Liverpool. How much different is that then all of a sudden if we are only 1 point behind Liverpool? We can get the Premier League table up here. We would have been, after this weekend, we'd have had 7 points. We'd have been, at 16th, we'd have jumped to 12th. And Dylan says, yeah, at least we have won at their place since. But it is one of those where you do look at it and you go, it is quite frustrating of the entire situation and what happened. But I think it's a positive sign. I do think that we played very well. I think you can look at that and say, we really can push on to this. And unfortunately, it is away at the Emirates next. Arsenal are on fantastic form. Arsenal will be looking to put another win on it. But it's like Erwin says, the confidence that performance gives us will be great. And I can put my phone back now because I'm done using it. And that's exactly what it is. The confidence we played with is, a lot of people said it, I've said it. It reminds me of an old Everton team, the first year under Martinez, the Moyes years. We played with that real confidence that Liverpool may be a top 6 side. Why can't we beat them? Almost in that idea, you look at it going in and, the reaction of the fans should give them a boost for Arsenal. Exactly. Every player on that pitch impressed, in my opinion. Every single player. I think giving Anthony Gordon a 6.3 is ridiculous. I don't think he was fantastic, but 6.3 saying, he was below average. I don't think he was. I think every player on that pitch did a fantastic job. And B puts it here. Oh, no, man, 21 is insane. When we spent that money, I'm not the biggest league enthusiast. I'll watch PSG games. I'll watch Monaco. I might watch a Lille game if it's on TV. But Onana for what, 30 million? It's a bargain. The fella, we've give them Andre Gomez and taken Onana off them. It's a ridiculously good deal. And in the end, it's something that we could look at players like Gordon if he stays, look at players like Onana, Patterson, Mikalenko, even academy players like Warrington, Welch, all these players, Mills. You look at all these players and go, oh, wow, we might be in a really good position going into Bramley-Moore when these players are 21, 22. You look at it and go, well, you look at the teams dropping off in that area. You look at the top 6 is so hard to break. But you look at those 7, 8, 9s, those West Hams, those Leicesters, those, teams of that. And you see Leicester at the bottom of the league. You see West Ham struggling. Yes, now we have the teams like your Brightons, you have your Brightons and your Brentfords. But unfortunately for them, I think a team like Everton's naturally always going to have more pull and more money than them. Maybe when they've had more time in the league and they've got to play like Ivan Toney, who is fantastic. Brighton have got a team full of fantastic players, as they should again today against Leicester. But it's a matter of fact of, for example, Everton really need to take advantage of the situation that the league's in this year. I thought the highest Everton may finish is 13th, 14th. There's no reason this team can't push for 10th, 9th, maybe not 8th or 7th, but 10th, 9th, 11th. Yeah, they're not fantastic, But to go from 16th and almost relegated, saving ourselves, and jumping to 10th instantly, And, Dylan puts here, Brighton and Brentford are setting in a good example of why you should give your manager time. And so is Frank. I really do think Frank is. A lot of Everton fans usually would be calling for a manager's head after the start. Frank had. But that's the good thing about Frank is we know there's a project. We know there's improvement. We know that it's only going to get better. And this performance showing it. Every time we've played, we've got better each time. What does that say going into Arsenal if we improve again? Why is there no reason we can't nick a point or even 3? And then after that, we've got teams like Tottenham and I think we've got West Ham and Southampton. No reason we can't beat them. Tottenham have looked good in the ability to claw onto games and to nick games and stuff like that. But the thing is, Tottenham look beatable. Arsenal are beatable. The only team that looks like a really unstoppable unit right now, I would say that, but even, Man City lost. Man City drew with Villa, and Villa are crap. It's one of those where this season it looks like no team is really unbeatable, and we need to claw onto that. Make Goodison a fortress. The away form is already improving, in my opinion. So it's one of those where you look at everything on the table, and you go, "There's no reason we can't have a decent finish." Yeah, even Dylan put City should have lost to Villa. No team. Man City and Liverpool over the past few years have looked like a genuine unbeatable team. None of the top 6 look like a real force. Arsenal and Man City probably look the best. Man United look like they're improving, but they look like you can still catch them. Tottenham, you can catch them. Arsenal have just been caught. Man City have been caught. Liverpool have been terrible since the start of the season for their standards, with the Uruguayan Andy Carroll. And, you just look at it and go, I do think Liverpool, City, and these teams will improve and they will start to, they'll start to win games and they'll start to get results throughout the season. But we need to take advantage now, in my opinion. We need to take advantage on the situation we're in now. We need to when we get these big 6 teams, especially teams like Spurs and Arsenal coming up. Arsenal have just travelled to Zurich to play in the Europa League. Yeah, there's like a 3-4 team difference. A 3-4 day difference, sorry. And Tottenham may have a European fixture just before then as well. But Dylan puts here, not many teams will go to Goodison and go with all 3 points if we play that every week. They won't. We've gone from one of the leakiest defences in the league to one of the best. If I quickly get it up and then share it with you lot again quickly, we get the full league table up if I can do that. If I get it up quickly, we have, here we go. I've got it up now. So if I go to bang, bang, there we go, bang, bang, and then we go, there we go. Here we go, we've got it up here now. So as you can see, we've got the league up here. We have conceded 6 goals. Yeah, that's not the best, but you look at it, 6 goals in 6 games we've conceded. You go to us, you go to, is there fixtures? Yeah, there is. Go to fixtures, you go to previous. So we clean sheet against Liverpool, and then you look at this. We've conceded 1, 1, 1, 2, 1. We're not really conceding many goals. You look at it and you say, well, we're coming into this now, and we're conceding minimal goals against the max we've conceded is 2. You look at some of those before the season, and you look at last season against Liverpool. That game we'd have lost 3 or 4-0 with the old defense. They'd have battered us. And when they started to get that momentum, and when they started to push, and when they started to get us, the old team would have crumbled. This new team has got confidence. They've got leadership. They've got everything we want. Because I think what a lot of, when people like Sky and that talk about our fans, they don't realize that we don't expect to win the league. We don't even expect Europe. We want a team that will fight and will get points and will make us proud. A lot of our fans understand that we can't win every game. And in the position we're in right now, we won't win every game. We won't even come close, probably. But the matter of fact of the situation is that we are, we're in a position where we're fighting and we're going to war with these teams, and we're making it difficult for them. And that's the least we can ask for. Obviously, we're in and around the relegation zone now. It's 6 games in, 5 games in. 6, I'm pretty sure. It doesn't matter. Not many teams. I think, I can confidently say if I look at the league now again quickly while I'm talking, I look at the league and I look at this and I go, you know what? 2 or 3 teams might finish in the spot they're in now. 1. It wouldn't surprise me if not a single team in the league finishes in the position they're in now. That's it. It's just a matter of the fact of the situation, how early we are in, that it is so hard to judge what's going to happen. And, you look at, if we do look at the talking points of the game, there are an impressive performance from Onana again. There's controversy. And that's it. In the end, all the talking points beside the annoying thing of the referee not helping us is the fact that we have been in every game we've played. There hasn't been a single game we've not been in. Unfortunately, against Leeds and Brentford, games that we probably not Leeds, because Leeds were all over us, and Brentford were, in a sense, games that we could have nicked something from. And Erwin puts here, Callum, what are your thoughts on Davis? Davis has been impressive when he's played. As someone who's not the biggest Tom Davies fan, I think he's a very limited player. But in the role he's been given for Frank, he's done a job. And I look at him now and I go, do you know what? I actually trust him if he's played now. And, it links on to your next question, what would my starting midfield be? It wouldn't include Tom Davies. But, for example, if just a guy has to sit out for a game, I wouldn't mind Tom Davies stepping in after that performance against Liverpool. But I do think our midfield should be Onana, Gay, and Iwobi. James Garner, impressive player, really good set piece taker, and Damari Gray can't take a set piece to save his life. So it may be one of those where you look at it and go, Garner may have to start just because of the set piece ability that he brings to the team. But even then, Garner, it'd have to be Garner, Onana, Iwobi, Garner game missing out maybe, but I don't think that should be the case. I think James Garner should be one of those players where he's got a lot of energy. He can step into games. We can rotate in midfield. You've got here from B. Davis did great. What's happening, what's happened, but we're so much stronger in all areas, and I feel really confident. It won't be Garner. It won't be Garner Onana. That I'm so glad that it isn't going to be Garner Onana, because that's confusing. It's a good midfield, but Christ, it'll get confusing. And Dylan, I had a feeling Lampard would play Tom. I trust Davis to start with sometimes being sloppy. The sloppiness is there, and unfortunately, that's it. Because, like I said, he's the limited ability that he has. But he's a hard worker, and you look at the thing is when a lot of people complain about Tom, you look at every good Everton team we've had, even the 80s teams and the teams now. There's always a player that may not have been the best, but he worked his ass off, and that's why he was around the squad. David Moyes' teams were built on them. The players might have not been the best, but they worked hard and they did everything they were asked for. And that's why. And obviously, and then we've got the talented players. Iwobi's the GOAT. So happy for Iwobi. He's improved so much. Genuinely, I think Iwobi's our best player. I don't even think that's a controversial statement. I think, I've got friends who are Arsenal fans who've got, do you know what? I wouldn't mind Iwobi coming back inside now in our midfield. I never thought I'd say the day Iwobi was worth the money we paid, but he's been worth the money we've paid so far. If Iwobi keeps this up all season, or even drops down a level, he was still worth the money, because in the fact he's still probably going to be our best midfielder. And the only time he won't be our best midfielder is when you see the development of Onana finally. And, Dylan puts, personally, I'm most nervous on forward, but they can get better and score more. I believe Calvert-Lewin's full training now again, so Calvert-Lewin is probably going to be slowly brought back into the side. But I do think Maupay will score goals. I think Maupay, unfortunately, his first game was in a massive game, and he might have felt a bit of the pressure. But I think Maupay has shown he's someone who can get late goals, can do things, can, really help. And, Damien puts here, the best derby I've seen for ages. It had all passion, fight, desire, controversy. Most thrilling 0-0 I've watched for ages. Exactly. There was no reason, and I'll keep that while I continue to talk about it. There's no reason for if any Everton fan is annoyed at this, and I mean annoyed as in with any of our performances, let's ignore the VAR. That was crap, and it's well within reason to complain. But if you just look at our team, there is nothing to complain about. There was nothing to complain about besides the Maupay chance. But in the end, if Maupay's not on that pitch, I don't think we barely get the chances we got. He created the most chances. He did everything you'd want a striker to do. His hold-up play was quite good for a big man. He's shown the ability to get a touch and move with it. He showed the ability to help others into the game. He did everything that a team in our position would want from a striker except get the goals. You know, I'll go back to your midfield depth comment, Owen, but Maupay scores 10 for us this season. If Maupay plays the full season as the number 9, 100% gets 10 goals for us quite comfortably. And then, you know, we go back to this Iwobi, Onana, Gay, Garner, Decore, Alan, Davis. That is genuinely might be the best midfield depth outside of the top 6, except maybe like West Ham, who, you know, West Ham have got like Paqueta and Rice and Souček and, you know, players along that mold. But it is genuinely frightening how much better this could get as well. When players like Garner and Onana develop more, naturally they'll get better as time goes on. So I think it's one of those where you look at it and you go, usually we come onto these streams and there's usually something to complain about. You know, if besides referees, there's usually something in the team to complain about, but there's not anymore. And, you know, you look at Urban here, Alan and Corey were our starting players last year, now they're bench players. And to be honest, Alan's like at the bottom of the bench. He went from starting to being the last resort option. Decore, I think Decore is still good enough to start. I still think Decore offers a lot to the team. But I do think Decore, the one thing I like about this, and the one thing I will say is, I don't think it'll be a settled midfield three. You know, you go to this and you could see, for example, against a team that sits back with a low block that might give us a chance to have possession, you may see Iwobi, Onana, Garner, as in James Garner. Against a team where we need to sit back and defend, you may see Decore, Gay, Onana, and Iwobi drops out. You know, for example, there's so many combinations with these players that I like, that against different teams in different systems, we can rotate to play against those systems. And I think that is what Frank wanted. Frank wanted a big group of players where we can rotate and where we can play a different style of football when necessary. For example, against Liverpool, against Man City, we're going to sit back, not have much of the ball, but we're going to press when needed, which I think is something we did fantastically, by the way. I think our pressing against Liverpool is some of the best I've seen from this team. And then you look at maybe a team like, let's think, there's not many teams in the league this year that won't go at you. But, you know, you look at a team like a Bournemouth, for example. Bournemouth might sit back. They don't want much of the ball. They can do stuff when they get it. We can have more possession. We can have a player like James Garner in there to control the tempo. Then we can have players like Onana, Iwobi in there to, you know, add that driving force going up. And I think that is what makes this midfield the best midfield we've had in a long time. The best midfield we've had since Gareth Barry and James McCarthy, almost definitely. You know, you look at it and you go, that there's complete confidence in that area of the pitch now. We've gone from, we're desperate to sign midfielders. We need this, we need that too. Well, do we really need midfielders now? Sign a striker. You know, we're centre-back depth we're comfortable with. You know, Owen, I don't know if you can put a list of the centre-backs we have for mid, but if I think you've got Cody, Tarkowski, Mina, Keane, Holgate, Godfrey, Welch, and then Branthwaite, even when Branthwaite comes back. You know, that's 8 decent quality centre-backs. I don't think Welch is ready for the league yet. I think Branthwaite will be ready when he returns. But, you know, you look at all those, you know, I'm not a big Michael Keane fan. I'm not a big Mason Holgate fan, you know, but they're Premier League quality. I do think they are Premier League quality. And so to have them as your backup options, especially if we stick to a back four now, because there's so many different combinations we can play with that. You know, the only area I am worried about is the forward areas, and I think that can be improved on in January. I'm not too worried about that. But you look at it and you go, already this team has so much depth in it, and obviously you look at this, what we have, the situation we're in. It's a situation where I don't think we're going to be even close to getting relegated. And I saw people like Joe Cole on BT Sports, like BT Score or whatever it was, mention it. I don't think we're even going to be close to. I don't think we're going to be within 10 points, even maybe 15 points of relegation, to be honest with you, if things don't fall off a cliff, you know, touch wood. So it's one of those where, at the rate we're going, there you go. So we've got and then even Mike going a back three at left centre backs, like you said. The only areas that probably need massive improvement is, I don't know, maybe right back eventually when we have to drop Seamus Coleman and Patterson and then sign another backup, maybe. But I think we've got Kyle John in the academy, but I can imagine we may want to sign someone else. But, even Coleman can move to a centre back now. It's clear what Frank wants, a team that's solid and with depth. And that's exactly what Everton are now. That's every player has to fight for your spot. With bad form, you can get dropped and there's someone to replace you. The only area where that's in air is up front. But even, we've still got McNeil, we've got Morpay, Calvert-Lewin now. There's the depth it's there. It probably needs 1 or 2 additions in January, but it is there. And that is what, the big thing that you look at and go, wow, this is so much different from the team last year. It's, Owen puts it here, right back, right wing. I'd agree with you, bang on there. But I think they will be improved on, if not in January, definitely next summer, because the Moise Keane money comes in next summer, and that's what, 30 million, 30, 35 million instantly. We can get a top level right winger to come in for 30 to 35 million. You look at players like Cody Gakpo, who I don't think is a right winger, but for 25 million of a player of that quality, for 35, we should definitely be able to bring in real quality to the team. And even if you look at right wing, Iwobi's not the best winger. Iwobi can play there if we need someone to play on the wing. So, it's not the end of the world, but we would like to see the improvement. I don't think Damari Gray should be starting. I think Damari Gray offers so much more off the bench, and that's not an insult to Damari. I just think the type of player he is, he offers so much off the bench, as I think he'd probably be one of the star subs in the league, not due to quality, but due to what he can bring to a team off the bench with pace and with, and with the ability to run at players and stuff. I think it's a real improvement from the team. And I think it is nice to see that we are in a position where we can say, well, we're confident with everywhere on the pitch except 2 positions. Obviously, the more we push up the league, the more requirements there'll be, the more necessary they'll be. But for right now, in the position we're in, a lot of the team I'm happy with. And I think everyone can agree there that there's just so little now we need to do after 1 window. And it's crazy to think about that. The Farewell and Frank have done a fantastic job, in my opinion. Obviously, that could change. But right now, look at the quality we've brought in and what they can do. It's really good for us. But I think before we do end things off, I want to know what's everyone's thoughts going into the Arsenal game. Because, I looked at Arsenal today. I watched Arsenal against Man United, and they were good. They created chances, but I think in a very similar fashion to Liverpool, like Goodison, they just weren't able to finish off their chances. They weren't able to have that killer instinct. And, you look at it and you go, well, look at the situation we're in. And, before we go full in, imagine this team with a Kudus or a Chukwueze in it and another top striker, that would be quality. To be honest with you, when the players have developed, if we can get the Calvert-Lewin back of the Carlo Ancelotti season where he scored, I think, 16 or 18 league goals, that team finishes 8th or even possibly 8th, 9th, or even maybe pushes for a Europe spot. Because I think that could be something that really helps us. A lot of people are fans of the Conference League, but I think with a team like us, that Conference League could be something really useful for a team like in the position we're in. Because I think this team, the way we play, I think this looks like one of those teams that just will do well in cups. We'll see when it comes to the FA Cup, but I think this is a team that can really thrive in the cup competitions, can push teams in the cup competitions, because we're always going to be a difficult game. And we, what the cups are like. So it wouldn't surprise me to see us push really far in the Carabao Cup, to push far in the FA Cup, I'm not going to say we're going to win either of them, but it really wouldn't surprise me to see us in the semi-finals of at least one of them this season. So I think it's a very positive move. Owen puts here, Arsenal weren't great, pacey wingers and all over the ball, but when they got to that final position, they crumbled, and that's bang on. Rashford tore them apart. The defending was terrible. They were caught easily on counter-attacks. Probably our best aspect is our ability to counter-attack. Our best attacking sense, anyways, counter-attack. We have good dribblers like Gray, Gordon, Iwobi especially. Because I think a player like Iwobi is going to really cause problems for Arsenal. And I don't know if I don't know if they're going to have their midfield back. I know Partey has been out for a little bit. I think it's been Partey, yeah. It's been Xhaka and Lokonga still looks a bit in midfield. And, I think it's one of those where Sterling puts it, baby steps one game at a time. That's how it is. And, maybe against Arsenal, it's not the best performance and we lose. But Arsenal are a top side right now. They're one of the best teams in the league right now. So, in the position we're in, as long as there's fight, as long as we make it competitive, then yeah, I think there's no reason to complain. I don't think there's no reason to worry as much as we would last season. If the last season's team were going against this Arsenal team, I think we'd do terrible. I think we get smashed. But I think we're past that now. So I think that is everything. And Owen puts here, before we do end things, the win will come. The win may even come next Sunday for all we know. But I think the win is it's coming soon. And I think it's going to be, when that win comes, I think that's when the floodgates will open. That's when we start winning games. That's when we start getting points. That's when we start pushing up the table. But that is all for today's little live stream. Thank you all for watching. If you did enjoy, please make sure to like the stream, subscribe to the Toffee Blues, follow us on Twitter, and follow me on Twitter at CallumBrandon3. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all for the next video and or live stream. Bye, everybody.